Why would we have ambassadors representing the state that do not understand clearly what their terms of reference are?
That's to the cards that I have drawn that I am the minister at this point in time. And for members of the public...
But you're also a servant of the people. The unions are not threatening to withdraw their labor, and neither are they threatening to shut the country down, as you did.
I think your summarization of my position is highly inaccurate, and may I dare say a bit inflammatory.
The strategy did not work the last time for you. So what would make this?
Well, you're assuming that we're doing the same strategy.
Some of the major players involved in making the product a success. The Lions Old Mass competition, for example, has been a major feature of the Carnival build-up over the years. Old Mass is one of the signature satirical features of Carnival, where masqueraders review the major events that dominated the local and international scene in the form of satirical dress, placards, and other mass forms on Juve morning. The competition was initially held at the No Problem Hotel poolside in Grand Anse, as well as at the Grenada Youth Center. We preview this year's competition with a long-standing organizer. Also on the program, we assess the state of traditional mass in Grenada's rural parish in the wake of the passing of a great cultural icon, the late Peter Bain. Peter Bain's band, Rainbow City Mass Promoters, has been a mainstay for rural mass, and his children are hoping to maintain this tradition. We welcome our guests, Kelvin Jacob, the CEO of the Spice Mass Corporation of Grenada, Kiddo Bain of the Rainbow City Mass Promoters Mass Band, Adrian Francis, Carnival judge and past Carnival organizer, and Donald Noel, former member of the St. Andrews Carnival Development Organization. And now, let's welcome our co-host for this week's program, the Bubb Report's producer, Kitaka Mawuto.
Welcome to the Bubb Report. No, I'm not Dr. Kellen Bob. My name is Kitaka Mawutu. I will be the guest of today's show. Hello to everyone viewing the Bubb Report today. Thank you for sharing your precious time with us. Today, we continue our Carnival programming, and we kick things off with a conversation with the Spice Mass CEO, Kelvin Jacob. The countdown to Spice Mass return after a 2-year absence is on, and we are going to have a chat with him to extract as much as we can about Spice Mass, where we are and what's to come. Welcome to the program, Kelvin. How are you?
I'm good, Kitaka.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm good, Kitaka. Thank you very much for having me on the program this morning. Good morning to your viewing audience.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to have you. Very busy time for you right now, so always happy to nail you down to chat and to really find out what's going on.
Yes.
Before we jump in though, I really want you to speak to us about what it was like leading a team during the pandemic. I mean, we had a 2-year Carnival absence. How was that experience for you, and what were some of the top lessons you've learned through that period?
During the pandemic, it was a very difficult time because, we were home out of the office for some time, and then we went back in the office. So there were some challenges there. But once we got back into the office, we started basically looking at the product. We did a review of Spice Mass 2019, and we used the staff also to help them uplift themselves in the jobs that they are doing, so that they can successfully plan and promote Spice Mass for the years that were going to be coming up. So we started planning for 2020, 2020 didn't happen. Then we did the same thing again for 2021. It didn't happen. So it was basically reviewing, planning, and reviewing, and that became a little bit frustrating. And when we finally got the go ahead in for 2020 to have Carnival, it was very exciting. And at that time, it was full pace, moving ahead for planning. And then we went back straight to our stakeholders and started stakeholder consultations and so on to make sure that we get buy-in to the different things that we are going to be doing in moving Spice Must forward for 2022. So during the pandemic, it was a little bit challenging, but it was not daunting. We tried our best to stay focused and use the time to review and plan and update the staff and let the staff do little projects, little courses, etc., via online and so on to make sure that they can sharpen their game during the downtime of Carnival.
Okay, so talk to us now about the build up to Carnival. Are things unfolding as they should based on what you have done on paper?
So far, yes, things are unfolding as they should. We've finished the preliminary stage of our competitions. Well, we've almost finished the preliminary stage. We are now in the Calypso stage, the preliminary of the Calypso. We had the Calypso 10th judging, and we continue tomorrow again, and then on Tuesday with the other 10. So far, we have selected the soca and the groovy finalists, and we are working now to secure the Calypso semi-finalists.
Well, I know sometimes the ship is not always sailing the best. I mean, any hiccups, anything you've encountered, challenges that you have had to
well, there were some hiccups and some challenges, but nothing that we couldn't solve with conversation, and that was quickly solved. I know one of the hiccups we had was the dates for two of the Calypso 10s in terms of the judging, and just with a conversation and some phone calls here and there to make sure that we can strategize and make things work, we were able to solve that problem. So we had the Calypso 10s resolved in that issue, and the Kaiso Bads Calypso 10, they got kicked off last night with the judging, and they are going to go back with the Fireworks Kaiso 10th on Monday, that's tomorrow, and then the Kingdom Calypso 10 will be judging on Tuesday.
Okay. Another issue that has been in the social media space is soca artists clamoring for more prize monies. And we see that an effort has been made to reach them halfway with some increase in prize monies. What inspired that decision? Was it the pressure, or was that always on the cards? And how has the artists received that news?
That was never done under pressure. You would know, and our audience would know, that clamoring for increasing prices is something that happens every year. And it happens on the heels of the activities of Carnival. It never happens in January or February. It happens right as we are about to start the judging competitions, etc. So that plan to change the price or to review the prices, that was something that the board started looking at way before that social media post came out. Because we looked at the structure of the prices and the different tiers, okay, and we realized that there were gaps between, okay, huge variances. And that's when we decided to close the gap in terms of the prices. So for example, there were about a $20,000 difference between the first price and the second price for Soca Moda. And that's when we decided to do some adjustments there, which resulted in some increases at the top and also resulted in increases at the bottom in terms of appearance fees for the artists, which is very important, as we understand. Appearance fees are very important for the artists.
In dialogue with artists, what's the feedback like? What's their feeling towards the change?
Well, to me, the change is a welcome change. All the artists who came in and they registered and they saw what we were proposing, they had no hiccups with it. So all the artists who are registered for the competition, we never got any pushback from them in terms of the prize monies.
Okay.
We've also never had any formal complaint, anything written into the office in terms of complaining for prize monies.
Okay. Next week, a big week for you guys in terms of hosting lots of the semifinals, from groovy to soca to calypso. What's things like right now? How is preparation going? What's your feel and what's your predictions?
Well, I think it's going to be a very busy semifinal weekend. We think it's going to be one that people are going to come out to. We are hearing the artists themselves. They are preparing. They are going to be coming with the A game to make sure they secure a spot to get into the finals. It kicks off next week, Thursday, the 21st, with the groovy, and it's happening at the Progress Park. Then on the 22nd, we go to the soca, And the 24th, we go to the Calypso semifinals. So it's going to be a big weekend. It's all going to be happening in Big Paris St. Andrew, and we are looking forward to it.
Okay. Prior to COVID-19, I mean, Grenada Carnival was on a rise, evidently within the Caribbean. We see that it reflected in the number of arrivals around that time. Comparing 2019 to this period in terms of the buzz and what you're hearing and projections for the Carnival, where are we comparatively?
I think we are way above 2019 at this time, because we are hearing and we are seeing the evidence of flights. People cannot get flights to come into Grenada, and the flights that are available, they are very expensive at this time. Hotels are booked out, etc. So we are hearing a lot of people wanting to come to Spicemas. Some of them cannot come. So the buzz is significantly greater in 2019, because we know, getting off the heels of 2019, people are anticipating 2020, because we got off from a very successful season in 2019, and 2020 was very highly anticipated. And with the 2-year hiatus of no carnival activities, official carnival activities, people are actually looking forward to 2022. So the buzz is great on the local front, also on the regional and the international front.
Okay, you spoke about something, the flights as well as accommodation. I mean, if we continue on the growth trajectory, like, what are some of the things you see that would be important to ensure that maybe we get more flights to Grenada, as well as the expansion of the accommodation to host all the people that's going to be flocking Grenada for Spicemas?
Well, I guess that would be a conversation with the GTA and Spicemas and the airline companies. Another suggestion would be to go back to the homestay programs, okay? And that in itself would be an economic booster for Grenadians. So you can, if you have apartments in your homes, you have your downstairs, you have extra rooms, you can start getting these accommodations up and ready as a filler for accommodation for Spicemas. Another thing we can look at as a suggestion is to maybe have a cruise ship or two dock outside, providing accommodation for people. So these are some conversations we can have going forward in terms of dealing with the accommodation and the flights.
Okay. Well, we are still in, we use the word post-COVID era, but new variants and strains are still being reported on. How concerned is the corporation about post-carnival public health impact that may follow if any COVID-19 finds its way in Grenada?
Right. So we are very concerned. We are very concerned, and in our media and briefings and so on, we have been encouraging people to wear a mask. If you do not feel safe going out into the public, you can wear a mask. It's not mandatory now by law for you to wear a mask to go in any public space. But what you can do to protect yourself and take responsibility for your own actions is to wear a mask as you get out there in the big crowds. And not just for carnival events, but just as you move around doing your day-to-day duties, we are encouraging you to wear a mask. And we are also working along with the Ministry of Health. And they have been putting out some video clips encouraging people to stay safe and wear a mask, etc. for carnival. We've done a big promotion as well when we were looking at having the carnival within the restrictions of COVID. And we are also going to be putting those advertisements back into our social media platforms.
Okay. So Kevin, like when you look, let's say fast forward to ending of August, you kick back on the beach, chilling, and you're reflecting on Carnival. What are 3 of the top things you would like to have accomplished? Like, what would make you feel happy in those moments after Carnival when you look back?
What would make me happy? What would be in my mind, front and center, that everyone had a bumper carnival. We had a safe carnival. There were no incidents. And at the end of the day, everyone benefited. Spicemas Corporation, the artists, all the artisans, all the creatives, etc., would have benefited from Carnival. Our patrons can leave Grenada smiling and saying, yes, we had a great time for Spicemas, and we are going to be coming back for 2023. This is what's going to make me happy.
Okay. And looking forward, still COVID-19 was heavy in terms of the planning. You guys had a plan A, plan B. Wasn't the most ideal situation to plan. But looking forward, if all things remain equal and COVID-19 doesn't become an issue again in the planet, and you're given more time and freedom to plan for 2023, what are some of the big things that are on the horizon? What do you guys foresee in terms of the evolution and growth of Carnival over the next year?
Well, one of the things we have in the pipeline already is to do a lot more promotion and do a lot more working with the artists and the artisans in terms of improving the product. So that's one of the first things we would have to do. Go back to the drawing board, do a review of Carnival 2022, and look at some of the ways that we can improve. And one of the things that we have on our radar already is to make sure that we have workshops for our artists so that they can improve their writing, their production of music, etc. Also, workshops for pan arrangers and pan builders. We are we have a project right now in the pipeline that we've applied for with UNESCO to have the production of steel pans here in Grenada. We are also going to be looking for wire benders, workshops, etc., feather art, and the whole thing about designing and production of costumes. So these are some of the things that we are going to do in preparation for 2023 once we would have reviewed 2022, because this in itself is all geared towards improving the product, and heavy marketing, of course, will also be a part of that plan.
And how hungry is the stakeholders, sorry, in terms of some of the things you mentioned? Because I think definitely if we're looking at sustainability of the industry, ensuring that we have top class quality individuals execute Carnival at all levels is important to improve the product. But how has the stakeholders received like dialogue, and are they open? Are they reluctant?
No, I think they are very open, and I think once we have the funding and we open up these workshops, I think we are going to have a lot of people coming in to take part in these workshops so that they can improve their craft. Because at the end of the day, you're not only doing it for Carnival in Grenada, you can use your craft worldwide. You can move into the region, into different carnivals. You can travel internationally, and you can create costumes. You can write music. You can produce music. You can design costumes and send to a band in Trinidad, in Australia, in Northern Hill Carnival. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I think so far they are looking forward to that kind of things.
Okay, I'm getting close to wrapping up, but let's say there are some young artists and people in the music industry looking at this program right now. What would be some like simple pieces of advice you'd give them in terms of ways that they can improve their craft within their control and the inputs that they have control of?
I would say the first thing you can do is when you write a piece of music or you produce a piece of music, bounce it off by someone. And bounce it off by someone, not just who is your friend who say, yeah, boy, that's sounding good. Bounce it off by someone who is an expert. Don't give it to someone who is your friend, because sometimes your friend normally, they may tell you what they think you want to hear. Okay, and that may not always be the better thing. So look at the hard critics, send it off to someone who can give you a hard critic, and be prepared to take the criticism as well. Because sometimes constructive criticism is not always very soft. Sometimes it is very a harsh reality. Someone may tell you, boy, what you write is actually shit, for want of a better word. They give it in the raw sense, but they're actually telling you really and truly, you have to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes it's a hard reality, it's a harsh reality, but sometimes we have to face the harsh reality, because sometimes that is what is going to really push us forward. It's not always an easy road. Being the CEO of Spice Pass is not always an easy road. The amount of critics I get, sometimes if I do not stay focused and steer the ship, I would just give up. But I would encourage them to not to give up, look for constructive criticism, and keep on keeping on. Because we see artists who got through who went through the preliminary stage of competitions, for example. Some of them are feeling a little bit daunted now. They figure they could have gone in, or the person who went in wasn't as best as good as I was, so I should have gotten, so I'm going to give up. No, do not give up. Continue trying. Keep on keeping on.
Okay, we'll take out two questions from the viewers as well. I think we have a question here. Someone is asking if you can speak to why we have a major private show on Carnival Sunday night. Also, can Mr. Jacobs tell us if Calypso shows will have some promotions as we are seeing for the National Queen Show?
Right. So the show, why we are having a show on Carnival Sunday night, there is no event. Spice Mass has no event on Carnival Sunday night. Carnival Sunday night was a free night, and the private promoter applied for the space, and it was given to the private promoter. We had no control over the stadium, for example. On Carnival Sunday night, we do not own the stadium for Carnival Sunday night. So the private promoter would have gone through the stadium, got permission to use the stadium, and Spice Mass gave permission to use the stadium, because we do not have any event on that night. As it relates to promotion for Calypso, definitely we are going to be promoting Calypso. We have been promoting the Calypso tents. We have been going to all of the Calypso tents. Spice Mass is actually paying for the production of the pay-per-view of the at the Calypso tents. And once we get into the semi-final stage, we are going to be promoting Spice Mass Calypso events just as much as we promote all of our other events.
Just to track back a bit in terms of the change of the Calypso date. What was the rationale behind that in terms of the change of location and date, and how has the Calypsonians received that as well as the fans?
Okay. So first and foremost, that change was done in consultation with the Calypso Association. Okay. And secondly, the date was changed after reviewing the product. We looked at the participation in terms of patrons coming to Spice Mass Calypso de Mardi Gras at the National Stadium, and also the participants, the patrons who come out to the semifinals. And we looked at the disparity between the two. We have a huge crowd in Grenville for semifinals, and then we have a dwindling crowd at the Mardi Gras. So two things we decided to do was to look at the day. Is it possible that we can change the day? Maybe more people might decide to come out on a Thursday night, and change the venue, because the Calypso catchment area from our research shows that most people who go to Calypso come from St. Patrick, St. Andrew, and St. David. So we decided to try that this year and see how it is going to improve the people coming out into the shows, so that we can do a review again and see if that worked. If it didn't work, then we have to go back to the drawing board again. But it's all in the name of trying new things. We cannot continue to be doing the same thing the same way to expect different results. So it's all about trying.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Experimenting. I think it's backed by data. Someone is asking, what will you do about the cost for material for costumes?
The cost of material, we don't have control over the cost of material. I think one of the things we can do to decrease the cost of material, maybe we can encourage more entrepreneurs in Grenada going into the costume production, okay, and into the material production, not production, but making material available here. So we can have some small businesses importing the material here, so that people do not have to fly out of Grenada to get material in Trinidad and New York, etc. So maybe that's one of the things that that's a business opportunity right there, that someone can see coming out of this year, the expense of the materials, and see if we can deflate that cost to the artisans in terms of material for producing the costume. But Spice Mass themselves, we do not have control over that. It goes back to supply and demand.
Okay. But to wrap up this particular segment, any final words before you head out?
Well, I would just like to encourage everyone in Grenada and out there in the diaspora to continue to support the events of Spice Mass Corporation, continue to support the works of Spice Mass Corporation, continue to support the artists and all the artisans, all the entertainers, etc., who are going to be contributing to Spice Mass 2022. We are always grateful for your participation, and those who are out there in the diaspora. Once we put out our events via pay-per-view, we are putting it out there for you this year, because we know if you cannot get flights to come here, you will want to be a part of it. So once we put out the events, they will want you to support the events, etc. So that's basically it, and we encourage everyone to keep safe and have a safe, incident-free Spice Mass 2022.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Have a great Carnival. We should do great success, and have you back soon to discuss after Carnival.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for viewing the Bubb Report. We are about to end the first segment. The next segment comes to your compliments S.A. Johnson Funeral Home, a Caribbean family-owned funeral service. They offer a full range of funeral services at affordable prices in New York City. They can be reached on 347-779797. 347-779797. S.A. Johnson Funeral Home, because you deserve to be treated with dignity. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back with our second segment.
Woman said to me, when you sing, the devil does be happy. You don't sing for the Lord. Oh, that scholar. Sing for the Lord. Oh, you have to become more like Jesus, or you pay the ultimate price. When you sing your voices and chorus, well, you have to sing more like Christ. Well, I know for certain Jesus hated wrongdoing, from high priest to layman. He chastised all of them. That is why I decide this year I'm gonna do what this woman say. So you see me, I want to be more like Jesus. Hey, hey, I want to sound more like. I want to be more like Jesus. I want to song much more like. Verily, verily, Tobias, I find you really playing the ras. All the trouble you give in, lean it not on your own understanding. Hallelujah. You take head grenadians for Papi show. Hallelujah. Only talking like you go cross the floor. Hallelujah. If you want attention, you out of luck. Hallelujah. Why you don't go and attend to some work? For 5 years don't get paid, don't ever spin. But because they stop it, you making a sin. A man repeat what he saw it, that's how it should be. But you want to sow idleness and reap salary. Toby, can I get a amen? Can I get a amen? Can I get a amen? Stadium, let me hear you. Raise your hand and give me. Can I get a amen? Can I get a amen? I can hear you say speaking in tongues. Oh, shali, 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 kuba. Ribabaka, sababa, ranga, dambada. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. If you're here with us, hit the share button so more people can view the show. We continue our Spice Mass coverage. We now move on to the next segment. We have with us a veteran Carnival organizer involved in Carnival at many levels, Adrian Thomas, to speak to us about Old Mass and his general thoughts and feelings about Carnival. Welcome, Adrian. How are you, and how has the Carnival been for you so far?
Well, good morning. And first of all, correction, we always get a start with this surname. But the surname is Francis, it's Adrian Francis.
Okay.
And I must say good morning to all the persons listening to your widely viewed program locally, yeah, and in the diaspora. And I must say it's a pleasure to be on once again to talk Carnival. I mean, something have not been talking to for a very long time. But it's good to take me out of the doldrums and make me come back to reality. And then, as I can recall, my many years at Calypso semifinals, starting Calypso semifinals 15 times on time, all the time at 5 o'clock. And it'll be at Simon. Once I walk in the stage, you can know it's 5 o'clock. You can tell the time when I walk on the stage. I never started semifinals late. That is one of the hallmark of my days on the Carnival Committee and Calypso. And I would like to see those days come back. And I hope next Sunday, this is a event that we do start on time at 5 o'clock. Generally speaking, as I said, I am good for the time being. I like the Carnival season is going so far. I've visited 2 Calypso 10 so far, and I've listened to some wonderful Calypsos. I hope I'm looking forward this year to the stiff competition in the Calypso Monarch competition. and as well as the other aspect of it, the judging aspect, the panorama. I think we have a good panorama this year.
Okay. So Adrian, I mean, you have been at the forefront of Carnival for many decades. I mean, talk to us about your experience as a main organizer for Carnival events in the past, as well as comparing it to how it has evolved over the years and how it is now.
Well, I must say, I mean, it has evolved in a way that, I mean, it has been projected to do so. The reason why I'm saying that, in my days at Carnival, I mean, I be working in a government department, and I, you know, for 3 months every year, from let's say from May to August, I'll be seconded to the Carnival Secretariat. I mean, to run the affairs of Carnival. And that's how the way back in 1994 anyway, I remember then. And then when the secretariat will close, and I go back at the end of August to my substantive job. And I, during my recommendations, I mean, during those times, I always said, I mean, that a permanent secretariat would have been, I mean, better off anyway, because when you close, all the affairs of Carnival just stay until the following year. So there's no continuity. And you may have listened to the chief executive officer. I mean, he's in those days this referred to me as a manager, not as a CEO. And these are the things you have. So all the problems for a year, that year would, I mean, if it not solved during that period, that 4 month period, then you have to go, it will overflow to the next year. And that was not making sense. So by having a permanent secretariat now, I think lots of things are happening. So you can plan activities year round and not evolve around the 4 months of Carnival, the May to the August scenario. And there are a lot of opportunities, and I mean, people come in at this, I have a talk with people, persons, you can run various workshops in terms of for different aspects of Carnival, yeah, and all the problems associated with the previous Carnival could be at least dealt with before the next Carnival comes around. So I am this is the high point I've seen of the change I've seen from my time to then and went to, and then the government subvention would have come at least the second or the third month of Carnival, and by that time I mean that you're deep into it, yeah. And these are the things. These are the things, and there was no proper budgeting for Carnival. So this is one aspect I think. Now that next is Spice Mass Corporation, I think that's started in 2010. I think these are the things, I mean, that the problem that's seen by having this temporary secretariat that gave the rise to this permanent situation that we have now to happen to run the Carnival on a year-round basis.
Okay, understood. From that context, though, what do you think is needed to even take it to the next level from that organization standpoint?
Well, I think there's lots of things in it, because, for instance, again, for this year, no, the mass bands would not be having a competition, right? We heard that the Calypso prize money for the Soca Monarch has increased, but one of the main aspects of Carnival, I mean, we have mass and Calypso. What about Pan? The Pan men received a subvention last year at $12,000, which is not enough anyway. Now they receive this year $10,000 subvention. They had a decrease after 2 years absence anyway too. And you know, things things didn't go down, it went up. And you may not know, but I mean, to tune a pan and to have a pan, to have the arrangers, the pans here to be tuned, and to have a pan tune, it costs lots of money. And people would not understand and say, oh, pan men only like money, but everything that pan does costs money. It costs money, and I would have thought that just as the pan, the Soca artists got an increase in prize money, there should have been an increase in prize money for the pan men. Because if you check it out, I mean, there's over 50 or 60 many young persons who have been on the street, I mean, are doing something, you know, out of the ordinary. But they are in the pan houses during that 3 months after when school closes in end of June. They're in the pan house, and they are doing something constructive. I mean, playing not the easy things, and art anyway too. And check the number of young persons, especially young ladies, are in the pan houses and everything. So I think some form of incentives should be given in terms of that, again, in terms of increasing the subvention, and even to the bands to ensure that these young persons, I mean, learn a skill, because I mean, you can make lots of money by just playing a solo pan. I mean, they turn a pan, you can make money, go to the hotels, go to whatever function. But I think these are things that The other part again too, I think the young that pan should return to the schools. I recall in my time there were in terms of the areas of carnival, there was somebody somebody for Calypso, pan and mass in the Ministry of Culture. They're all gone. Derek Clouden, David Peck Edwards, right? And all of them have gone to the great beyond, and they have not been a replacement. I would like to see that return to the Ministry of Culture. Somebody to teach the pan in schools, the calypso, and even the mass section, wire bending and the concept of your conceptualizer, the making of a costume and such a thing. So we have continuity. If we don't have that today, then what we are saying, then we do not. I mean, if you don't go back to them days, I think we'll lose a lot of these young people, and the interest in carnival will only stay with the persons, I mean, that over 40 or over 50 and went to. And lots of people would like to know about carnival, but if it's not taught in school, I don't think we'll get far with that. Anyway. So I'd like to see that there's somebody that could go to the schools and teach calypso, pan, and even mass in the schools anyway. Even if you part of the curriculum, I mean, to be music as part of the music thing in the school, that pan and calypso be taught in schools.
Okay. Thank you for that, Adrian. We also have with us a duo from St. Andrew, Kido Bain, son of Peter Bain, and another carnival stalwart in the big parish. May his soul rest in peace. Kido is joined by Don Noel. They both represent Rainbow City Mass promoters. So they're also here to speak to things carnival in the big parish. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
Morning, good.
Morning, Mr. Mao too. Very good.
Then nice to have you guys on. So speaking to what we heard from Adrian a while ago, and also specific to St. Andrew, I mean, the loss of Peter Bain last year was not only a loss to the Grenville community, but it was a big loss to Grenada. Kido, starting with you, as the son of Peter, what are you doing right now to kind of keep your father's legacy alive, and how has it been to go through a carnival without him?
All right, so good morning to the viewers and listeners. Well, the Rainbow City Mass Promoters was established in 1993 by Mr. Peter Bain himself and his wife, Mrs. Nola Bain. We have been parading the streets of Grenville for 26 years until the pandemic. We also participated in kayak mass from 10 years, from 2011 to 2020. And we also took part in St. George's competition for 3 years, where we placed 2 seconds and a first. In 2018, Mr. Bain received the British Empire Medal for Culture. But unfortunately, last year, October, he passed away due to complications from COVID-19. So, it's been a tough road for the mass band. We definitely miss him, but we definitely want to prove that we learned from him. So we are honoring him this year by playing Legends Never Die, a tribute to Peter Bain, BEM. He did a lot of stuff in his lifetime, but the mass, that's his pride and joy. So I think there's no better way to salute Mr. Bain than to produce a mass on behalf of Peter. I play a mass for Peter.
I think that's a very, very nice gesture. Talk to us more about this year's portrayal. What can we expect, and how has the pandemic impacted your guys' ability to prepare for Carnival?
Okay, in regards to preparation, due to the pandemic, we have been patient because we know health first before Carnival activities. But now that the Carnival is back, we're happy to come out with the mass portraying stuff that Mr. Bain would have taken part in his lifetime and what he loved. For example, we have the revolutionary section because of his love for the People's Revolutionary Government of the leadership of Maurice Bishop, which his father passed away on October 19th. So we have the revolutionary section to portray that. We have the music section because he was DJ Hawk. He used to operate Bain's Upper Level. And we have a new nightclub in Grenville now, PB's Nightclub, that we honor him with also. The colors, we have the One Love section, right? One Love, that's his motto. That's always been his motto. Everything he do is all about togetherness. Under that section, you will see the colors of PB's enterprise. Each color have its significance. Then we have the pageants for the annual Mother's Day Queen show that he have. The British Empire medal section for the award he received in 2018. Then the pride and joy of his band is always the teenage section. All the teenage girls, you know, that's who he have to highlight the band the most. That's who he really used to make an extra effort for that one. So for that section, we're calling it Angel as a tribute to him, you know. So you're gonna see the teenagers with the angels portrayal. And for the kids sections, which are only $100 each, we have the sprinters and the strikers because he was good in athletics and football. We have the passion section because he was passionate in everything that he did. And we also have the gem section because to us he was a gem to society, and we would like to salute him in that way.
Okay. Don, last week, masquerader Chris Edwards expressed concern about the challenges faced by traditional masks, including the inclusion of non-competing bands in Carnival. Have the rural bands been experiencing some of the same challenges? What has it been like for the rural bands on the build up to Carnival?
Yes, the bands have been experiencing a lot of difficulties. As a matter of fact, I was happy when I heard Mr. Francis and I think the CEO, Mr. Jacob, would have mentioned about going back into the schools and teaching the cultural art form to our kids, the students, and so in our schools. Because what I realize is like over the years growing up as a child, attending Carnival functions, you had a whole set of persons masquerading. You had the sailor mask, you had the old mask themselves, you had the shotney, you had the jab, you had the Veko, you had the Wild Indians, a whole cadre of different persons on the streets portraying different aspects of Carnival, right? But nowadays, all you see is just basically the jab in the different colors and the shotneys, and then you have the few fancy mask bands, right? So I would really like to see that the art form be taught in our schools, the cultural art form, and not just the cultural art form, but our history on a whole. Because we don't teach our history to our Grenadian history or even our West Indian history to our students in our various schools right about now. Most of what is being taught is Americanized, right? So students now know little or nothing about the history, the island history. Back in the days, we had civics on an afternoon after lunch, where you had questions being asked. You had to do research to find out certain things about your country and even about the Caribbean region. But now all that has been cut off. So I would really like for that to come back, and I think with that coming on stream, we are going to be able to appreciate and to put out more in terms of the different aspects of masquerading for Carnival, the different areas in which we can portray, and not just the jab and the shotney and the fancy mask.
Okay, and you made some points that I would like to bring back Adrian on. I mean, I'm in my 28 years of life in Grenada, you know, I've heard like the same things be repeated over and over in terms of, you know, traditional masks being underrepresented and not studying the calypso. You know, we're moving away from our culture and so on. I'm really trying to get like, what's really the significance of the old mass, and how do you guys really see us moving from like the talk only to like actually having action done sustainably over the time to ensure that it is preserved and it is celebrated and it is valued? I will start with you, Adrian, and then we'll circle back to the guys in St. Andrew.
Yeah, I must say congrats to my friends in Grenville. I mean, both Ben Jr. and David, my good friend. And what I must say, I mean, thanks to Peter Bain that he kept and Rainbow Mass promoters for keeping Carnival alive in the Eastern Parish. What you have found there in terms of the traditional mass is that you find that persons like you have people like Lazarus and Twine in St. Patrick's. They would have brought bands. They were famous for bringing out bands from St. Patrick. We had Dominic Lucas in St. John, and then also Winston Sam and thing. But once this person died, there were no you have nobody that used to take up a role because they were sponsors. They had their own money. They had the transport. They financed the whole operations anyway. So these people are no more. So that's why I'm proud to see that the Bain family decided to continue the tradition of excellence of the father, and then they have other persons coming in. In terms of the traditional bands, there's a minister of culture that decided to look at the traditional mass, like the Veko, the Shorty, the Wild Indian, the whatever it is, like the donkey mass and such again too, and saw that they were facing his extinction. And what he did was to organize a traditional mass competition in the outer parish. I think they started in River Sally, and we came to Victoria and went to. So you went there on a specific day, I think in the month of July, and you saw all the traditional mass. And every year, and there was also a competition, and that really brought out the best in the traditional bands anyway too. But if you like every parish has a thing, you go to St. Patrick, you'll find the Shortney. You go to Victoria, you'll find the original Veko. You go to Guelph, you'll find the Veko, and you'll go to St. David's and you'll find the Wild Indians, right? These are persons, but what you find out is only a family of plate, and that's it. They face an extinction. So I would like to see that. In terms of the old mass is something that was dying until the Lions Club decided in 1994 that they would at least preserve that. And I think that is why today is Old Mass Sunday. The third Sunday was designated as Old Mass Sunday. That's why today, 28 years later, that tradition with the Old Mass continues again too. And what you get from Old Mass is a year review, right? Comically speaking, of what happens or what occurred. So today, maybe in the Old Mass, you'll see lots of things about the elections and what has happened throughout the year. So that's a review you get from the perspective of those persons who are, as they see it, comically speaking.
Okay. Something that came up here is in the comments is, yes, the teaching in schools is a good thing and a vital part of ensuring that we can keep the culture alive. But someone made a point about like communities and in the villages, like how do we really decentralize the carnival and ensure that it spreads right across in all the communities, and those things are part of community life. So yes, you learn it in the classroom, but you also have avenues within your community to execute and to learn and to grow. Are there any plans by any of the mass bands to like have more activities in the villages throughout the year as a means of trying to ensure that the traditional mass stays alive?
Well, from Rainbow City Mass promoters, what I would say is that we're hoping that in the future going forward, to keep Peter's legacy alive, that we are going to be able to have workshops and stuff like that to preserve the culture, right? The traditional mass and stuff like that. We have not really gone into in depth as to how it's going to be done because we're still going through the grieving period. We have tried to accomplish so much in the short space of time that Peter would have left us, because on March 13th, we would have opened up PB's Enterprise on Gladstone Road, Grenville, which was in his honor. for Mother's Day as well, we decided to keep his legacy alive by doing the Queen Show, the Mother's Day Queen Show. And then shortly after that, we had to enter the whole Carnival scene. And as I said, we're still in this kind of grieving period without Peter being there. And everybody now has to pull their own individual weights to get things going. There is still not yet a coordinator, as Peter used to be, that you have that person there, as Peter used to do, and just delegate responsibilities to various persons. So what we are trying to do right about now is just coming together as a team and working together to get things done. So going forward, I guess as much we're going to meet and discuss further as to how we go ahead getting the cultural art form alive and kicking back in St. Andrew with the different aspects of Carnival and stuff like that. Well, we already have the steel pan in Rainbow City All Stars, and a lot of the members of the Rainbow City Mass Promoters are also playing steel pan with Rainbow City Steel Orchestra, right? So that already is taken care of. So we actually have to go into the nitty-gritty of maybe the costume building and designing, which we are offered help from the guys in St. Vincent, Kingsley Collis and his team from Metro Synth, High Voltage in St. Vincent. They are willing to come and give us whatever assistance that is needed. As a matter of fact, they've been here year after year, assisting us in the building of our costumes for Carnival.
Okay.
Just to add to that, I want to say that it's about community leadership also that we may use to move forward, because Mr. Bain, as a leader and a mentor to the Society of Grambras, he actually mentored so much masqueraders from neighboring villages and the village of Grambra to come together to form that bond without any government set of support. You know, we want to thank Mr. Kelvin Jacob and the Spice Mass Cooperation team for all the support thus far, but they can't do it all, you know. So you can't solely depend on government for everything. You know, I think business persons and people in the community, leaders of the community, have to take the initiative to get together to mentor the youths and persons in the communities to come together to keep the culture and the art form alive.
Okay, thanks for sharing that, and it's a prelude to a question I was about to ask. Sometimes hear a phrase thrown around that, you know, they always live in our big parish. Is there any truth to that statement? And what's the experience like for you guys in terms of collaborating and working to get things done?
Well, it was that way for a lot of years, but I must say thanks to Mr. Kirk Sitahal. That was one of the men that took the initiative to assist us to bring the band to St. George's after so much years to take part in the competition, where we happened to place 2 firsts and a second. So first and foremost, we must thank Mr. Kirk Sitahal and his team. And that was followed up by Mr. Kelvin Jacob, who is also giving us some good support and stuff. So we can't say like before they didn't so bother with the St. Andrews. We could have said that before, but for the past couple of years, we must thank them for at least taking the initiative to support the St. Andrews bands a little stronger.
Okay. Bringing you back in here, Adrian. There's a competition on a show today, a traditional competition, mass competition. Talk to us about this. What's to expect today?
Well, what I'm saying today is the Lands Old Mass competition, and that is one of the most look forward to event of Carnival, because it gives you a preview what to expect from Old Mass on Juve morning. You'll see on Juve morning, because most of the persons who take part there at least there would be as individual or a band or part of a band, and you could have you can bet your bottom dollar that there's never a dull moment at the Lions Old Mass. As I said before, it started way back in 28 years ago, and breaking 2 years within Lions Inhabited. And I would like this opportunity to thank Spice Mass Corporation for at least for co-sponsoring this event. And I hope they continue, because this was a tradition that was dying, that Old Mass tradition. Because I recall vividly when I was a younger person, that there used to be Old Mass dance. Yeah, and there used to be some big activities, fundraising activities for some of the service clubs like the JCs and the Lions and the Old Mass dance. And I would hope that this competition at least will lead the way to a renaissance, because after 2 years of absence of 2 years, that people, I know lots of people come out this afternoon to visit that at the youth center this afternoon at 3 o'clock, the Lions Old Mass. And I think that will be the starting, as I said earlier on, that this is something, it didn't cost much to play a Old Mass. All it is a shoe and a pass. Something I need a shoe. Based on what your picture is, it's just your brain to show. I mean, how great and think. I mean, how wise they think and to craft the ideas and bring it out in the form. So that's basically that's a talent that Grenadians have. They're very crafty, and I think that this afternoon would be an evening where people would see after 2 years. They will see lots of things. I mean, that will make them laugh. I know laughter is a good medicine. But just to go back a while later, I listened to the young Bain speaking there. And I am saying it, that's what Carnival needs. You don't need government. You need to take the initiative, and then government will at least come in and help you where it's possible by providing duty-free concessions and providing maybe a building or whatever it is again. But you have to take up the initiative. And if they didn't take up that thing in terms of Grenville mass promoters, maybe there'll be another thing in Grenville, a mass band in Grenville. I recall in Grenville had at least 4 steel bands. And young Bain may not realize, but Norris Bain and Sons had a sponsor a band called Bain Trendsetters. You also Ramdani sponsored Ramdani Volume 2. And there's also a band in Laborie, not Laborie, but Ladigue. Again, two. There are 4 bands in St. Andrews. And so when Randy Isaac sang in 1991, more steel band. I don't know where all the steel band gone. Then we came back with the same one, All Stars. Yeah? Rainbow City All Stars. And these are the things that we need again. Because St. Andrews is bigger than St. George's. And I think there are lots of things to be done again too. But we need the business community to at least come and support. And if you have a good product, they'll support it and you have a proper structure. Even the community centers in the various parishes could be used to teach the skills of plain pan, kaiso, all the different things that all our culture are thinking. And then the documentation is another thing that we need to document everything. So if you want to read on something, there's documentation. But most of the persons dying, like we have Mr. Crofton Maguire, he died with a lot of things about our culture, no documentation. So I'm looking forward, for things to be documented. So we could go to the place to read the history of Mr. Peter Bain, Crofton Maguire, and all these guys, Black Wizard, all these persons who are making contributions, have made contributions. We need that. We see now that they are recognizing now Dr. Trevor Friday and also Brian Griffin went to. Come on. Nobody knows that Dr. Friday. Who knows that Dr. Friday was the man who in 2006 and say, listen, we have Vinci Mass, we have Bejan this, we have Trini Mass. Why not say Spice Mass? Yeah? Bearing in mind since 1992, Flying Turkey had a song Spice Mass. So since 2006, that Greater Carnival changed from Greater Carnival to Spice Mass through Dr. Trevor Friday. Who knows that he was the first person who put Greater music on disc. Yeah? And Brian Griffin was the person who write all the thing and had all the extempo competition. This is that dying art form now again, but extempo used to be a big thing. Like for the first weekend in November, used to be the biggest extempo show in Grenada. But these are things again. We need leaders.
Well, hopefully your advocacy and speaking about it on the platform and folks listening can be inspired to step up and get involved. I had a follow-up question for the traditional mass though, the old mass competition today. You're a former judge. What are some of the aspects of the competition that you pay attention to in your judging process?
Well, not a former judge. I've been still judging. I started judging since the first Old Mass, And I'm the only surviving member of the original panel of judges anyway to those two. What I'm saying, I look at what comes to me because I'm not going any preconceived ideas. Whatever the portrayal, I judge on merit. So whatever comes to me, I look at it again, the concept they have there, try visualize it again, visualize what the person's trying to do again to, and score the points accordingly based on what the person presented anyway to. I don't go with no expectation. My only expectation is that I'm looking for mass participation, and I know Grenadians are very creative, and I know I see a lot of creative having just finished the last elections there. I know lots of things to be to cover that again too. So looking forward what is the creativity of those persons playing the Old Mass this afternoon.
Okay. Don and Kido, are you guys participating in Old Mass today? Do you guys have any representation down there?
No, we don't.
Okay. Will we see an Old Mass competition in St. Andrew this year or anytime soon?
Well, maybe we could look into that, maybe for next Carnival.
Okay.
Juve morning, man. Juve morning, they say the Old Mass competition Juve morning be real nice, huh?
Yeah.
Exactly. Juve morning, we may just have some in Grenville.
Okay, well, definitely looking
I'll come up on mine. I'll come up and help you with the organization, no problem.
Appreciate it, Mr. Francis.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are approaching time to wrap up. Want to find out, like, from each of you, like, what are you guys looking forward to the most this year for Carnival? Starting with
I look at the participation. I mean, lots of persons come out and participate in the thing. Because what we've been having, we have mass bands. When you look at the mass band, it's about 100, 200 persons. I mean, I remember when I was a bit younger, mass band used to be several hundred persons. When you look at band as a sailor band from the Carnival Belmont, you're looking at about 600 or 700 persons again too. A Robert Patterson presentation at Sunbus, almost about 500 persons in that band. I would like the people to come back and participate in the mass bands anyway to come out and support. No, we have too much as side workers now. I mean, if you support the mass band and you go to Rainbow City and support the Rainbow City mass band, mass promoters, and these are, and I'm also calling the younger persons, I mean, to go out there, you understand, and play. I mean, when you play in Carnival and watching Carnival, there are two different things in it. So come in and join your mass band, join a steel band, you understand? Visit the Calypso tent and win. And that's the thing like that. So when you look on Monday and Tuesday, people look on the street, they say, whoa boy, then Greenie could already play mass.
Kido, what are you looking forward to the most for this year's Carnival?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank all the supporters and sponsors who assisted us to reach where we have reached so far. And I'm looking forward to a safe and happy Carnival 2022. And we can't wait to touch the road. Carnival Monday, Carnival Tuesday. Look out from the band coming up from Grand Bras to Grenville on Carnival Monday. And from Subies, roundabout, that's by Battle Hill on Tuesday, coming into Grenville, you know. And it's been such a long time. So what I'm really looking forward to is just to be on the streets with the band. Big up to all the masqueraders who registered thus far. Registrations are going pretty nice. And anyone who is interested to play with the band, check us at the Mass Camp in Grand Bras. You get your measurement and just a small down payment. So looking forward to a safe and happy Carnival for everybody, whether you're playing Jab, whether you're playing Mass, Shotney, Veco, big up Lakey and the Hermitage Shotney, and everybody. Remember, Carnival is not just about one thing, it's all about total togetherness, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
What about you, Don?
Okay, as Mr. Francis would have reiterated that we're looking for mass participation, right? What you find happening on Carnival days, the masqueraders themselves are not given the opportunity to really parade on the streets in their costumes, because the persons on the outside join into the band and they want to take over, and it causes a lot of conflict. So this year I'm looking forward to mass participation. I'm also looking forward to less incidents and accidents. in the sense of okay, you go out there for Carnival to enjoy yourselves. Let's leave the weapons and stuff like that at home. Let's go out there and have clean fun. Enjoy ourselves, and everybody go back home at the end of the day feeling a sense of togetherness. You feel a sense of, okay, achievement, that you would have gone out there and nothing happened, right? Because it seems like in almost every activity, not just around Carnival, but almost every activity, you must have some sort of incident. Let's look at Carnival 2022 and have a clean, fun-filled Carnival.
That's a copy. Yeah. Also, too, around this time of the year, post is that there's a school in the island that will be celebrating its 75th anniversary. That's PBC. And as you know, we have produced our 4th Prime Minister, at least in terms of Mr. Deacon Mitchell. So what we are celebrating 75 years of existence, and as part of our school song, so Grenada boys are we, and its leaders we must be. We have also produced a number of other standing persons in the community. I mean, be it lawyers, doctors, you understand, tradesmen, you understand, fishermen, basketballers, just name it and name it. And we have a year of activities. And we have on August the 11th, we have one of our main fundraiser, and that is an evening with PBC at this prize basket. And what the reason why I'm highlighting that is because we have a Caribbean by the name of Mighty Manikou, but you will know him as Hugh Dolan, and he'll be performing. He has not performed since 1975, so he'll be performing some of the better calypsos in there, so people can look forward to. Also, they one of the better bands that you had in the 70s. That's the Teenage Thrillers. That is the days when the schools had a band. GPS had the Mutineers. So that band also be participating. So I'll ask persons to support that venture. You understand? Support all, and to thank all the persons who have supported us so far. Yeah, and wishing everyone a safe, peaceful, and incident-free and Spice Mass 2022.
Yeah, I was actually had that question to ask you before you head off, but you were on like Boilcon. Again, I wish you guys a happy anniversary. I'm a SAS man, so hopefully when we get to that,
join us, man.
We can
definitely. One love, man.
Say that again.
I say it's one love. You can join us still, man. It's one love. But at GBS and SAS, I mean, once you're celebrating at these, we are on board. We are all one. We are all Grenadians. We just ask for everybody to support.
Definitely, and you guys have made great contributions to the society as well. But when it's intercollege, it's war. Let's go to intercall. When you know what days are intercall, SAS was never in the picture. He went to 72, 73. That time everybody got they deserve and went to. It was PVC all the way. And 70, I think we went, and 76. That's when you won intercall event. So don't feel you got left out there. You beat the best at GBSS and SAS was going in the picture. Just had to run that time. We were infants then, but once we came on the scene, it's over.
No problem, it's over, right?
Sorry guys, you're muted down.
Yeah, we came on the scene in 1980 and we just blast off everything. For 5 years.
Congrats, Donald. Congrats.
Once again, gentlemen, thank you for sharing time on Sunday. I know it's busy time, so I'll let you guys run to get back to your masquerading. I wish you guys great success. Stay healthy, stay safe, and continue the great work you guys are doing in different circles to ensure that the traditional mass and other aspects of our carnival is preserved and it stays alive. Thank you so much, guys, and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, and same to you. Have a good one.
Thanks for having us.
You.
All right. Okay, folks, that was Adrian Francis, Don Noel, and Kido Bain. Enlightening conversation. Carnival is on. The Bubb Report is going to be dedicated towards Carnival programming up until the end of Carnival. So next week could be more Carnival. Thank you to everyone who joined and tuned in. Thank you to all the guests. And I wish everyone a wonderful Saturday. In closing, for me, I think definitely Grenada is in a very unique position. Definitely think we have something going with the Carnival product. It's something I think we can definitely leverage on the international market for the enrichment of the country. And we definitely in the coming years have to invest and plan strategically to ensure we develop the talent. Like, how do we tap into the knowledge base and the experiences of Mr. Killer, Lavaman, Scholar, Ajamu, and the other Grenadian musical icons to nurture and guide the TJs and the Kianis and the Kayleys and the other young artists, the next generation of soca artists of Grenada. We also must set a roadmap and ensure we train our Grenadian youth who want to enter the music industry. We must produce top-class audio engineers, lightmen, musicians, artists, writers, producers, you name it. They are all important to developing that sustainable ecosystem where we can host and execute Carnival at a very high level. I think once we can do that, we definitely can cash in big time on the international market. I mean, definitely promoting our Carnival to the world. Carnival and music is an export that has no restrictions. Our artists and music professionals can ply their trade anywhere in the world and amass significant revenue. And it also ensures we have a wide talent pool of skilled people to choose from to execute Carnival. What do we have to do to maybe attract Killer and Boise and Voice and Marshall and other regional artists to possibly participate in a global soca monarch in Grenada and put on a global masterpiece and market, our product, high value, high quality, out to the world? How do we expand and ensure that we have more flights to bring more people in Grenada? How do we expand our accommodation and expand the events and decentralize Carnival to ensure that all the rural communities can benefit financially? I think we have a lot we can do with this particular industry. And definitely we need to tap into it because it's not going to be destroying our environment. It's skills and talent, and it's something that we can, utilize anywhere in the world. And I definitely think if we do so, Grenada could be bringing in a lot, millions and millions of dollars, during this particular period in our era, in our year, sorry. And I mean, these are some of the thoughts that just came to mind as I listened to the different guests on the show and wishfully thinking and visualizing how do we transform our Carnival and make it a better product. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Kitaka Mawutu. I filled in today for Kellen Bob. Wishing him all the best on his trip in Europe. Also want to say congratulations to my dear friend Pinky Fabulous on winning her first crown, Boss Yard, Soca Monarch champion first. Big up yourself, Pinky. And I want to wish everyone a wonderful Sunday. Have an enjoyable rest of your weekend. Enjoy Carnival. Stay safe. See you guys soon. Thank you for watching the Bubb Report. I'm out.